Do you believe in second chances? I do, and this time I wanted to give one to a fallen angel of the aviation world, Etihad. After an 8-hour flight in business class, I gave them a 4 minus. So yes, they technically passed, if barely. And honestly, they were probably saved by a very impressive lounge. So today, let's see how Etihad is trying to claw its way back, and whether this comeback stands a chance, because their story of rise and fall is one of the most fascinating in modern aviation. My flight today is from Abu Dhabi to Manila on a Boeing 777-300ER, one of the best aircraft for premium seating due to its wide cabin, so I'm hopefully looking forward to a flagship business class experience. Abu Dhabi Zayed International Airport is the main hub for Etihad, and experiencing the lounge is a must. The airport is visibly smaller than its Gulf neighbors Doha or Dubai. It tries to be in the same league, but still feels like a notch below in terms of the grandness and luxury. Etihad's lounge is spread across 3 floors and feel almost like a small city within the airport. Each level has its own focus: dining, quiet spaces and the bar, but all of them still offer plenty of seating to relax. Since I will be having dinner on board, I head straight to the top floor, and it's definitely the right choice. There is a large fully stocked bar with skilled and friendly bartenders who can mix just about anything you ask for. More than that, the vibe is genuinely impressive. It feels much closer to a stylish hotel lounge or a city bar than an airport. This is something many legacy airlines like Lufthansa still haven't quite mastered. Downstairs, the wet study area is noticeably quieter and better suited for working or reading, though it even has a game room which keeps it from feeling too serious. And then there is the main dining floor, the Livan restaurant, with multiple live cooking stations offering Western, Arabic, Asian and Indian dishes. Overall, I would easily put this lounge on par with Turkish Airlines lounge in Istanbul, which for me remains one of the best in the world. Etihad's lounge is for sure the kind of place where you could easily spend 2 or 3 hours without even noticing the time. I'm done with the lounge and it's time for the flight. I wonder if the experience on board will be as impressive so that I will not notice an 8-hour flight the same way I didn't notice the time spent in the lounge. I'm flying a 777-300 today. These days Etihad has only 9 of them left, just a fraction of the fleet it used to have during its best years. The business cabin is split into 2 sections, and I chose a seat in the smaller rare cabin with just 3 rows. It's a little life hack of mine to have more privacy and a quieter flight. Let's explore this cabin now. Well, it clearly looks dated. This 777 entered service with Etihad back in 2011, during the airline's peak years when the staggered 1-to-1 seating was top of the class, but today those seats look definitely old-fashioned. Etihad uses Stellia Solstice seat, a very typical design from early 2000s. It's comfortable and functional, but lacking the wow factor of modern business cabins. Somehow the bulky structure, color and small screen with a thick frame make this cabin look very dated. I think it might be the color. Etihad's signature beige looks here as if plastics just yellowed over time. It all feels like stepping into a grandma's house, well cared but full of old furniture and unmistakably from another era. That said, the seats themselves seem to be in a good shape. Well-maintained upholstery, a big adjustable headrest and a good amount of privacy as for a non-suite seat. The seat measures about 79 inches in length and 21 inches in width in fully flat mode. Perfectly respectable and on paper on par with latest Cathay Aria or Qatar Q Suite. But in practice the experience is different and feels much more confined compared to those modern designs, primarily due to thick seat shell at the shoulders and the narrowing footwell. There is a 15-year difference between this seat and latest Cathay and Qatar business cabins, and there is no way of ignoring the progress that happened. I begin to notice that I'm becoming more critical of Etihad, and then I spot the bedding. The duvet and most likely the rest of the bedding comes from Armani Casa. Moments later, the pre-departure drink arrives, and for the first time in months, I get a proper champagne flute. In moments like this, Etihad feels like an elegant old lady. She may not look her best anymore, but she still knows a lot about style. And then, almost immediately, the mood drops again. A pre-packed wet towel arrives, wrapped in plastic, cold and synthetic, exactly the kind you would expect in economy. Etihad is like a roller coaster of experiences. One moment lifts you up, and the next brings you straight back down. Plenty of things still to explore, but I will get there later. Now let's look at the menu and make some choices. One of Etihad's signature features is the Dine-Anytime concept. You can order any dish whenever you like, much like in an a la carte restaurant. Interestingly, the menu begins with beverages. There are 3 whites and 3 reds, a good mix between European and New World labels, plus a port wine and a solid list of spirits, including a single malt whiskey. It's perfectly respectable, but if bedding came from Armani, this list feels much more like Zara. Solid but not necessarily remarkable. A 2010 version of Etihad would probably aim higher, but it's a new reality for the airline these days. The a la carte menu offers 3 starters: Arabic meze, nori salmon, and sota sayur. I still don't have the slightest idea what the last one was. For the main course there are 4 choices: short rib, sea bream, chicken kofta and spinach gnocchi as vegetarian option. Sounds quite good, and since I typically try to go for something local, the kofta seems like the obvious pick. There is also an all-day menu that goes beyond simple snacks with items like steak sandwich and chicken noodles. There is nothing about breakfast here, which makes me wonder whether we won't have one at all or it will simply come from the all-day menu. Though I can't quite imagine starting the day with noodles. I wonder if this is how Etihad is trying to reinvent luxury. We are almost ready for the takeoff and I'm all set for my safety video competition. I always like to see how airlines use this otherwise boring moment to send a message about themselves, or not. Etihad bravely marches to the very end of my rankings. It's so functional and plain that makes American Airlines video, my previous low runner, to feel like a thriller. We are rolling into the taxiways of Abu Dhabi airport. That's a good moment to recall a story of Etihad, which was once supposed to become a symbol of Abu Dhabi power and ambition, but the history has ruled otherwise, at least so far. Etihad was founded in 2003, 6 years after Qatar Airways and 18 years after Emirates, and it immediately took it from 0 to 100 miles per hour. Fast fleet expansion. At one time, they placed a $43 billion order for more than 200 aircraft. New routes all over the world, one after another. And of course, a huge focus on luxury and bold flagship products, like Airbus A380 Residence, a 3-room apartment with a shower and even a butler. Instead of joining a traditional alliance, Etihad started buying stakes in other airlines to build its own global empire, from Air Berlin to Alitalia, Air Seychelles and few others. For a while it really looked unstoppable, but they stretched themselves too thin, too many routes too fast, a lot of investments into coolness and luxury that didn't really make money. But more importantly, literally all the companies they invested in went bankrupt or struggled. And then COVID hit as the cherry on top for Etihad's perfect storm. The next years felt like watching a movie in reverse. Cost cutting, cancelled orders, suspended routes. Today Etihad still remains committed to a luxury concept, but became much smaller, cautious and focused on profitability. And that's exactly what I'm already starting to feel on board. An airline which feels like a patchwork of past luxury ambitions and present-day cost discipline. By now we are up in the air. I hope Etihad will be able to fly high again, as it once did, only this time it will not get burned. And with that, it's time for the dinner. It starts with a glass of Sauvignon Blanc and a small snack. Warm mixed nuts, a simple but always welcome gesture. 10 minutes later my starter arrives. It's a smoked salmon in nori wrap served with asparagus, seaweed salad, and a small green salad on the side. It's complemented by a special Etihad dua bread, two buns of wheat and rye bread together. Not bad, but somehow this amount of bread seems a bit of an overkill. Overall, the starter looks very elegant and sophisticated, a small serving which perfectly entices your appetite. Well done, Etihad. I also can't help noticing very elegant cutlery, which I'm sure comes from Armani Casa too. The start is really strong. And here is the main course, chicken kafta. After a cosmopolitan nori salmon, kafta definitely looks traditionally Arabic, but also noticeably simpler. I would not be surprised to get this plate in a food court of one of Abu Dhabi malls. Nothing wrong and totally edible, actually good, but somehow it can't follow the tempo set by the starter. The chicken itself was a bit dry, while the rice and the vegetables were good. I'm a bit surprised, as all those meatball-style dishes are usually a safe choice for the airline catering, so not sure what went wrong here. My verdict is that food is still solid, but you can clearly feel that Etihad is no longer spending like it once did. For dessert, I decide not to play roulette and pick a simple fruit platter, which comes as a nice finish. Fruits are fresh and full of flavor and presented in a simple but elegant manner, and the coffee that follows continues that stylish and elegant tone, so I finish the meal on a high note. Now it's the time to take a closer look at the seat and the amenities we got on today's flight. Let's start with the Amenity kit. It does look interesting, and if anything, at least different. A kind of cube versus all the pouches and bags on other airlines. But then things get a bit confusing. Etihad is proudly flagging Giorgio Armani name, yet the products inside are from Espa, a niche British wellness brand known for its products for spas and luxury hotels. We get hand and body lotion, lip balm and moisturizing face mist, along with the usual eye mask and dental kit. The logic of Etihad is that Armani designed the kit while then they filled it with something else, which sounds too intellectual to me. It's like buying an Armani suit and finding a different brand's label inside the pocket. But apart from that, the kit is very solid. In-flight entertainment next. Here I give Etihad full credit for the content and none for the hardware. They've got a 15-inch screen which is barely passable by today's standards. When you look at it, there actually seems to be more of the frame than the screen itself. The colors are not bad, but there is no mistake that this is an ancient product. The remote is basic with a very small built-in screen, another nuisance from my point of view. The content is very respectable though, so you will not get bored on this flight, though might be a little annoyed that the screen is just barely larger than your smartphone. And of course headphones. Well, I wonder if they used Armani to design the headphones kit too, then maybe this cheap plastic bag has some hidden meaning, otherwise this is such a turnoff. Etihad provides a fairly generic airline issue pair, so don't expect Bose level audio quality. That said, they are perfectly usable and cut out the engine hum nicely, but to tell the truth, they look a bit better than they actually sound. I wonder if this was again Armani design, complemented by some €30 a piece technology underneath. Etihad is one of the airlines that does provide complimentary Wi-Fi in business, which I appreciate a lot. I think it's totally ridiculous to be charged €20 for the internet on top of your €5,000 ticket. Here they got it right. But then you immediately get a blast from the past. To access the internet you need a card with the login code. That feels so early 2000s. And finally, cushions and bedding. As already mentioned, Etihad uses Armani Casa, and this is where this partnership fully lives up to its name. The pillows, duvet and the mattress topper definitely have some class in them. The materials look and feel nice, everything is either new or holds its age really well, and it's definitely custom made for Etihad as it matches airline's colors. So this is clearly a win for Etihad, well done. And still few more things about this seat. Controls are more complicated than they need to be. They give you all the illusion of endless adjustment options, but in reality it's 90% about upright, recline or flat bed positions. So all these multiple buttons only bring confusion, and they look quite dated too. Storage space is another weak point. Actually, there is hardly any, only that surface on the aisle side of the seat, more a table than a storage space, but it's completely exposed, so I don't feel comfortable leaving a phone there or anything valuable. Interesting solution for the reading light though, not just a typical lamp in the style of the interrogation room, but rather a kind of daylight panel giving a soft and more natural light. An equally interesting solution for the table. I hardly saw anything like this before. But being interesting is the only compliment I can give to it. It's not very adjustable and the whole thing looks like it was made for army vehicles. Make it strong and make it last. Time to sleep. My bed is all set and before falling asleep I watch a few episodes of Big Bang Theory, which feels quite appropriate as both the series and the cabin are coming from about the same era. I wake up 5 hours later to a bright sunlight. This is why I love eastbound long-haul flights. I try to sleep as much as it was possible, so breakfast arrives almost immediately, and it turns into another polarizing experience. No croissants, no muesli, no yogurt, none of the things that signal breakfast. I get a steak sandwich with potato chips. It's almost like all the Middle Eastern charm and Italian style are suddenly forgotten, and now Etihad wants to prove that it could be as good as some Midwestern US diner. Questionable choice, but it is what it is. This is probably the first time in business class that breakfast feels more like something ordered at 2 in the morning after a night out. For what it's worth, the sandwich is not bad, but it's hardly what I would expect to wrap up this flight. This makes you wonder again if Etihad has actually given up on their past luxury ambitions. The flight is almost over and it's a good time to conclude. My verdict is 4-, and I feel almost like a professor who bargains with himself to pass a student who used to be excellent but is no longer pulling his weight. Let's start a bit further away. I flew with literally every major mainland China carrier. They all invested heavily in business class and a bit to elevate themselves. But in most cases you can still see that they still don't get what it takes to deliver a premium experience. New planes don't mean luxury by itself. Etihad for sure knows what elegance and luxury look like. It actually did it brilliantly in the past already. But today it feels like it just can't afford to do it consistently. It feels like staying in a 5-star hotel which was not renovated since the 90s. You can see the past glory, but you can no longer fully enjoy it. The whole experience really is a roller coaster. You have some really nice touches and then obvious letdowns. The lounge at Abu Dhabi is fantastic and sets the tone for the premium journey to remember. But once you get on board you start wondering if maybe you got on a wrong flight, or might be better off staying in the lounge. It's a dated cabin, nice but screaming early 2000s. But there are still flashes of class. Armani bedding, elegant plating and cutlery, good amenity kits, rich entertainment content, and a restaurant-like service concept. You keep riding that roller coaster of experiences with the food too. One dish is great and another just passable. I flew with Lufthansa recently. It was a rather plain and functional experience, but it was painfully consistent from concept to execution across all elements. Compared to that, Etihad is all over the place. It still aspires to luxury, but what it delivers today is all over the board. If there is one thing consistent, it's that the whole experience points to the place where the airline is today. A fallen angel of the major airline league, caught somewhere between its glorious past, its cautious present, and still uncertain future. In other words, still flying, but clearly still finding its cruising altitude. Let's hope things will work out for Etihad. If anything, it will help to keep Qatar and Emirates in check. And I'm looking forward to try one of Etihad's new A350s on which they bet a lot. And hopefully I will already see a light at the end of the tunnel for Etihad.